Aloha, and if you're just joining us, this is The Art of Life. So always happy to be here with you on Friday afternoons from 2 to 3 p.m., running a little here on local time, Le Shock. Broadcasting from the beautiful Pioneer Plaza down in the basement in the heart of downtown. So, ladies and gentlemen, here at The Art of Life, we're always on the lookout, trying to hunt down and sniff out those who bring diversity, integrity, and creativity to the islands. And we have some very special guests with here today. This is some members of the JMT Experiment. Now, what's that you say? Well, let me tell you. Here, his co-partner, Johnny B, is Johnny B Good. But the man and the myth, Jason Makani Tobosa, JMT in the house. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here today.
Mahalo.
And we are going to basically talk story about you as artists, as individuals, what motivates you, and also this fabulous project you have that's going to unleash its fury here in the Honolulu on December 12th. So
Yes.
welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
So from what I heard, the word on the street is you have been a lifelong musician. Some might even say that you had no choice in the matter because you come from a lineage of musicians. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I started at an early age, like a lot of people do, but my father especially was a professional musician, so from the age of 2, I was exposed to various instruments and musicians around the house at all hours of the day, records, CDs, no, records, cassettes,
8 tracks.
So everything was around my house, and I literally would crawl through, experiment, bang around. I would listen to them play music till 4 o'clock in the morning. They get home from gigs at 1, play again till 5. That's just how it was back in the day. So I would fall asleep to stuff like that, and I'd fall asleep to what they were listening to at that time, which was all jazz. So I grew up listening to Cal Tjader and Miles and Coltrane and Weston Montgomery and Count Basie, and all that. When I was 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, that was already a regular happening at my house. So I got exposed to that real quick, music and the love of music. My peers were older than I was, so at a certain point I started listening to what they were listening to, and they were listening to the Beatles and all the soul stuff on the radio, Earth, Wind and Fire and Commodores and things like that, Chicago. So I was exposed at an early age, and then again you get through middle school, high school. That's when everything came together for me. That's when I was exposed to rock and metal and hip hop and punk and all that. So everything I knew from 4 to 13 just came together right at that point. So that's when I actually started gigging with my dad, probably when I was 12 years old.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
Once he realized I can play a swing beat and a bossa nova, that was his little drum machine. That's all he needed. You learn how to play swing and a bossa nova, we can play all day. So once I got that down on the drums, I was the little drummer boy for him.
Oh, ra-pa-pom-pom.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. So let's see, you went from rhythm. At what point did you decide to go into exploring other instruments? Because your bio is so lengthy, and when I was reading it, no offense intended, because I'm a fan, I was thinking, hey, brother's like Prince. I mean, you just basically do it all.
I've tried and I failed miserably throughout, but there are instruments that I am drawn to and stronger at. I started on the piano like a lot of people do, piano lessons, probably like 1st, 2nd grade. Started that. Once you get to 4th grade, you can join the band and pick an instrument. I picked trombone as my first.
88 trombones? Sorry.
76. 76 trombones in the big parade. So those were my 2 first instruments when I was in the jazz band, playing trombone. The drum seat situation was coming and going, and at that time I have been playing drums at home with my father. So realizing, hey, I can do that, I can step in, I switched from trombone to drums probably around 7th, 8th grade. And that's when the drums took center stage, and then I focused mainly on that. So, yeah, but you know, I've delved into a lot of them. Like I said, I failed guitar, drums, bass, trombone, saxophone, trumpet, all the percussion instruments. So I, you know, faked my way through a lot of it.
I hear the fake it till you make it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us a little bit about you, Mr. Johnny B.
Myself, I've not coming from a musical family. Again, in 4th grade, I decided to get into music. Prior to that, I did also start on the piano as well. I think that's every mother's dream to get their children on the piano. So I immediately moved into clarinet, of all things.
Benny Goodman in the house.
Right.
Or Artie Shaw. Are you an Artie Shaw kind of guy or Benny
more
Goodman?
Benny Goodman.
Okay.
More Benny Goodman.
Okay.
So I played clarinet up through probably 7th and 8th grade, and then I switched to saxophone in 7th grade as well. So I was doing clarinet, alto sax. Come 8th grade, I switched to tenor sax. I played tenor sax all through high school and into beginning of college.
Fantastic.
And my junior year of high school, I started playing classical acoustic guitar. So I learned from a very well-known instructor, and he was a professional classical acoustic guitarist. And once I learned that, later on in college, I decided to teach myself flamenco guitar. So I did it strictly by sheet music.
Oh,
I
wow.
can read sheet music, but I'm not so much of a jam session player.
Now, I just want to interject here because for those people who are watching, notice I didn't call you readers. I've done that like almost every show. I'm like, for our readers out there. So now that I've got with the program that you're watching this, if you're unfamiliar with these musical approaches, it's like the Sharks and the Jets, but I think that there's absolute validity in both approaches. So some people are self-taught and some people work with an instructor, and I think it's just going to be a matter of what you're exposed to and what is accessible and how you like to learn. The flip side of that also is some people learn how to read music, and they go for the theory and all of that stuff. This is a whole note, and this is a dotted half, and a tied, and a yakety-do-da, and formata. Remember those things? And some people learn by ear. They learn by feel. They train the ear. I personally think that they're both really important. I don't necessarily think that one trumps the other. They serve different purposes and what have you. But what has been your collective experience in the musical realm? What's been beneficial? What do you think is a challenge?
Well, yeah, everybody's different, and it is the human aspect of nature and nurture. Some people are born with, you know, natural gifts. People like Jimi Hendrix and, you know, people like that. They can't read a lick of music, but then there's people from Beethoven to Miles Davis who their musical theory is beyond. So there is that middle ground, but at the same time, like you said, there is no better or a more correct approach to music. Basically, to me, art or music is just total and true self-expression. And if it's coming out and it's getting out and you're moving people and you're making changes and you're creating, then it doesn't matter what you learned from that book, or it doesn't matter what you learned from your friends. If the main thing is to create and
Enjoy the love
to
of music.
express yourself, and that's what my true thought of music and art would be, is this true self-expression. To be able to truly express yourself through music or any art, martial arts, whatever it may be, to truly do that with no kind of borders or any kind of hesitation.
Right, no reservations. It's that
It's
essence
really
of
hard.
finding what's genuine.
Yeah, it's
Right.
really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard, and that's whatever path you take to get there is the path you take. You know, everybody takes a different road, and you know, we all meet at the end, but it's you know, it's different for everybody. So
What he said.
Right.
I like that.
Now,
Yes.
also, just to clarify, I'm not a musical member of Jason's works. I don't
Get
play
outta here.
music for him. So,
Well, what do
what
you do?
I'm doing with this project that we kind of jumped into together, Jason had some ideas of what he wanted to do. A project that definitely like personal musical projects that have been put off for quite a while. And I'm coming out of the melee audio engineering program at Honolulu Community College.
Fantastic.
So I contacted Jason through mutual friends. We met. We found that we were both at a time where we were able to get together and work together. And so on this project, I helped in the beginning of the pre-production and the sequencing and laying down the basic tracks prior to going into the studio with the actual musicians from Jason's group.
That is fantastic. Now, if you didn't catch all of that, simply put, Brother Lake learned his musical production skills here in the good old Honolulu Community College, which I think is awesome because a lot of times people are under the impression that if you have to create an album or a product or whatever it is, whether you're in film, TV, music, we have still, I think a lot of people think that you have to leave Hawaii and you have to go and book it and go and do it somewhere else or have somewhere else finish up the project.
Right.
And you guys are a testament that that's not true. We have to take a short, quick break, but we're going to be right back. And we're going to go right into asking the heart of the matter what this new album is going to be about. So stay tuned.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo.
Oh, shambolic hair.
I like that reference.
Are we back?
Symbolic.
Are we back? Alrighty. If you're wondering how we know these things, we have this lovely little earpiece that I referenced to, and they gave me the cue. Sometimes I get the cue, sometimes not so much, but welcome back. This is The Art of Life. I'm your host, Willow Chang Alion, fighting the humidity that we are having here, my friends. It's pretty wicked. Look at my hair.
Yeah,
I need a hair person. Anybody
high.
who wants to come and step up to the plate, you are welcome to join me. But enough with hair. We're here at The Art of Life discussing music and the creation of new music here in Hawaii. We have two wonderful guests, Mr. Johnny B, Mr. Jason Tobosa in the house. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
mahalo.
We heard the word on the street is you've got a really big project that is about to launch in under a month. You're so calm and cool and collected.
No, not really.
No.
There's a swimming pool under this table right now.
The pressure's on.
Never let them see you sweat. Tell us about your album because it's a collective project and you've recruited a lot of great talent to help you out with this.
Yeah, it's a true experiment, hence the name, literally. Like Johnny said, I should start with, I've been in professional musician, like I said, since 12 or so, I mean, over 30 years, easy. So I felt like it was time to do a solo project after all this time. So I've had a few songs here and there that I've been working on throughout the years, and came to Johnny to, hey, let's just get some demos and so I can see what's going on. Once I figured out, hey, this could actually be something bigger than a demo. This can be something bigger than, just tracking and just cataloging my stuff. We realized that, so we did the gist of it at his studio, and then, like I said, we realized, okay, we gotta go bigger, so we went to another studio to continue with the whole idea was, for me, like you said, I grew up listening to Prince, Stevie, and all those guys, and on those records, they literally did play all the instruments.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was like, hey, I can do that, but no, I can't do that. But let me experiment with what I can do. So on this project, I'm playing 95% of what is on there. I have literally probably one or two other people of instrumentation playing here and there, but most of it is guest vocals and MCs that I've met throughout my stay here in Honolulu. I hosted an open mic with my band, Organics, and through that time I've met a lot of incredible people, musicians, MCs, poets. So through myself meeting all of those people, I was taking notes in the back of my mind who I was impressed with or who I thought would be good on this track, so the whole time I was keeping track of who was who. And come to find out, after I did contact these people, these are really, really world-class, up-and-coming vocalists and MCs. And I've been around, and these guys and girls can hold their own. From what I've seen, around mainland and everywhere else, they have, that elite talent that you don't see all the time. And so it's almost like I want to showcase them as well. So pulling in all the young blood and exposing them and introducing them to everybody. So that's another part of the experiment, is to let's see how these guys are accepted or not accepted. But once you hear and see these artists perform, you're gonna get blown away. So, and a lot of people know of them, but they haven't really seen them in a band aspect.
Right.
They've seen them with an open mic or on a demo or maybe on a little video or something like that. But to come out full rock star status, they haven't seen it. So it's, we'll see what happens.
Sorry.
Sorry. In the experience that we've been going through too, bringing them into the studio, it's pretty amazing to see them step up with something. A lot of it, the music was just kind of given to them on the spot, or come see what we're doing and see if you like the feel of it. And within that process, I love it, I want to be part of it, and up to a few of them writing lyrics right there on the spot.
There you go.
Getting up on the microphone right there in the studio and doing what they do.
So the collaborative process, as well as being in the moment, is very magical. I would definitely attest to that. You addressed a few things that were of interest, and I just want to come back to them. So one of them is that there is no shortage of talent in Hawaii. I mean, that's something I am always so happy to just flap my lips and tell people, no matter whether they're here locally or when I'm traveling. It's like Hawaii is this little hotbed of fantastic talent. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a local girl and I'm from here and I'm in the arts. Like, I am consistently always astounded, whether they're dancers, filmmakers, poets, spoken word, musicians. I went to music school with Queen Kelsey, touring the world as a professional opera singer. I mean, everyone obviously knows about Bruno Mars, and we all remember him when he was like, the littlest Elvis. And I think people, for some reason, they think that this is a one-off, and this is not to detract any of the talent, but I mean, Hawaii has been a feeder for Broadway for many musicals. There's so much talent here. What do you think is, one, the reason why we seem to have so much talent, and two, the reason why people don't seem to be aware of how much talent there is here?
I think it's why there's so much talent. I think it is a melting pot now, more than it was, say, in the 60s and 70s, to where there's a lot more influences coming through.
Right.
And that's coming from world influences, other cultures coming in, but as well as technology now too. So for people to see singers and MCs and musicians, you couldn't do that 10 years ago, with YouTube and all that, and you can learn so fast these days just by going to YouTube, and you can, all these lesson plans and all these things all these resources that we didn't have back in the day. So the level is going up really quick because we have those resources, we have the influences, we have, various things coming into us, and it is a tight-knit group of artists and musicians, and fortunately everybody plays off each other. So although it's not a big city, San Francisco, New York, LA, you still have that competition, so you still gotta keep yourself in check, and it is there. But I think it's just people are just getting exposed to the world now, like more than they used to. So now, getting influence from TV to the radio to, there's 1,000 stations on the radio these days. When we were growing up, it was like 3.
Exactly.
And so,
Kiss.
Yeah, everybody's exposed to that.
K59.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of things coming in that's making people move the bar up.
And I just want to interject here, because there is clearly a generation of people, possibly younger, not necessarily, that they're very accustomed to going on YouTube and looking up anything. There can't only be young people watching those cat videos. I mean, when you have a million kids watching a cat video, clearly there's a larger demographic. But I think what's really interesting, because as a teacher, I'll upload clips because I want people to see point of reference. Like, this is Zohar Zeki. She was a famous dancer from the 1970s in Egypt. You need to know who these people are. I find that if I don't upload those clips, some of my students won't necessarily take initiative to look. But this confounds me because I'm thinking, this is the equivalent of when you're a kid, you're like, Jeannie, I would really like to see Gilligan's Island from 1976, the episode. I mean, YouTube is like that. And, if I can't remember how to tie an obi, I just say, hey, wait a minute, YouTube, how to tie an obi. Dude, there's like 100 videos. And people just make the stuff.
I think that's also a downfall for inspired, well, let me put it this way. I think it's too easy these days to be creative.
Yeah, you need a little bit of hunger.
Yeah, there's not enough blood, sweat, and tears to get to where you want to get to. People want it now. Everything is now. I want to be this now. I want I want my computer to load now. And there's not a lot of blood, sweat, and tears being put into your instrument or your voice or whatever your instrument is. Not a lot of blood, sweat, and tears putting into schlepping your gig, your drums up flight of stairs in the rain, in the snow, 6 times a week.
The overnight sensation never was an overnight sensation, whereas today, there's a pretty quick turnaround. You can be at Disney for 2 years and then you're blowing up.
Right,
so.
People are missing the life work that has gone into what everybody does, what everyone's career, what everyone's hobby. With today's immediate satisfaction or immediate fulfillment through technology, I think people miss a lot of what really hones those skills in any hobby or any professional realm.
Right.
Yeah, it's the creativity. For me, from what I see, it's the creativity that's kind of lacking in the music. Back in the 60s and 70s, to get a certain sound in your guitar or whatever, you had to make that sound. You had to, how can I make my sound like this? Oh, I'm gonna slip my speaker in my amp, all of a sudden I have distortion. I'm getting feedback. What do I do with that? Oh, I'm gonna make something with that.
Right.
The Beatles had all kinds of different sounds. They created those sounds. They had to twist knobs and break things.
George Martin, man, that
George
guy
Martin was a
smart.
master. So
well, where are the John Cages of today? You know what I mean? It's like, even though you have these phenomenal examples, it shows in time how unique they are, because we don't have 100 John Cages, we don't have 100 George Martins, mixing it up a bit. But
all of that music from those days, 60s, 70s, was the heyday and the golden age of music to me. They're not dated at all. You listen to them now, it's like, wow. Whereas, we're listening to it 30 years later. You tell me somebody today who we're going to be listening to in 30 years, I couldn't tell you. I'm still listening to what I was listening to 30 years ago. I have teenage cousins and nephews and things like that. They have stacks of CDs that they bought
that they don't listen
10 days ago, let alone 10 months, listening to 10 years later.
I would even say sometimes the instant download. I mean, you go on iTunes and you're like, oh, I'll get this, and then it goes in your queue, and then unless you make a playlist, I mean, there are times when I forget what music I have, whereas when the format was, an album was great, because I felt like an album really induced active listening, because you had to make sure you flip the record over so you don't busticate your needle, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so even if I hear certain songs in Abbey Road, if I hear Octopus's Garden, I know exactly what's coming after that, because it sequences it in your brain. It's like you're really soundtracking an experience, an oral experience, through music, by the way that those albums are. And some of them were concept albums, and some of them weren't. But I mean, ideally, every album is like a concept album. I mean, if you're just throwing on 10 singles that may or may not relate to each other, I mean, it's kind of a weird experience.
There's no transition, there's no build, it's an album that's just thrown together. So even with Jason's album and the progression that he decided to work in the songs, there's a good flow. It's one of those. It's called Five for the Soul.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. It's that feel good music.
So when you're doing something like sequencing things, so I'm going to use another analogy. Like my mother's, she's a master of design. She would never say that. She's like way too humble. But it's not unusual in the Chang household where, stand there and we'll be like, no. You know what?
The feng shui coming
The
out.
exactly. It's like you got to, though the Daruma should. Yeah. Oh wait. When you move the book, and I mean it sounds kind of crazy out there because I understand some people think this is nuts. I had a friend over who was visiting, and she saw us like reworking the bookcase, and we spent like 40 minutes, and we were like explaining it, and she just thought like, oh my God, you guys are crazy. But I think that that's important. So how do you determine what song follows another? Is it a feel? Is it a flow? Do you listen to it in its entirety? Like decisions like that. How does it come to be?
For me, I did have a concept. It's soul music, and it's more of a flow thing for me, for this project anyway. It's more energy-wise or intensity-wise. You can't have 5 songs cranking right off the bat. I guess you can, but I mean, with this project, I try to tell a story and have it weave together where it made sense.
Yeah.
Whereas, I want people to sit back and have it be soul music, so where they can feel from song to song, like, oh, okay, I feel it, rather than be up and then have something drop out and like, oh, wait, what happened? That's not fulfilling my soul. It kind of took something away, and then go back up and come back down. So kind of have it to where, you can literally put it from beginning to end, and, it'll be consistent, more consistency than anything, so.
Oh, okay. I'm going to ask you one question before we cut to break. But the term soul music, which we tend to use in the music industry, usually it's sometimes R&B, but I feel like it's inclusive of many things. Frequently, when someone releases an album, you'll hear this similar statement ballyhooed about, like, oh, I made this album so from start to finish you could like make love to your wife to it. I mean, who was it? Was it Robin Thicke who said it, or Kanye West? I mean, everybody, Terrence Trent D'Arby. It's like you can put this on, it gets you in the mood. You want to have a little romantical feeling.
That's baby making music.
Yeah, is this a baby making music album?
No, not even. It's although I could, down the line maybe do that, but no, this is like I said in the beginning, I have a lot of influences musically, and they all come out here. There's heavy rock stuff, there's acid jazz, there's hip hop on there, there's definitely 70s soul sounding stuff, and some drum and bass grooves that I play. So the influences on there are wide, and they vary, but it's me. That's the whole thing. Is this is who I am, this is what I have, like it or not. This is what I got to offer, so.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just taking a little break. Don't leave, because you're wanting to catch the tail end of it. Come right back. We are the Art of Life.
Aloha, I'm Jay Fidel for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaiian Foreign Trade Zone, number 9, has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBED, the Hawaii Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program. It does so to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Jay Fidel of ThinkTech. Mahalo.
I'll see you soon.
Aloha and welcome back. This is The Art of Life. I'm your host, Willow Chang. We're here every Friday from 2 to 3 p.m., thereabouts. We're on ThinkTech Hawaii. You can catch us also on YouTube and Spreaker if you do not have the time to cut away at work and watch TV on the job. I understand. Ladies and gentlemen, we got some great guests in the house. We have Johnny B. I like to say Johnny be good. He's being so kind. He's not slapping me, but he's helping out with the production end of the Jason M. Tobosa project. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So, the word on the street is that there is a big release party happening in the month of December. Tell us a little bit about that, and then also some of the artists on your project, so we can give them a shout out.
Yes. So the date of the show of the actual show is December 12th, which is a Thursday, which is less than a month away or
I'm
so.
going to give you a mnemonic. You think 12 days of Christmas, so the show's December 12th.
Oh, okay,
Don't
right,
miss
Side
it.
of that.
Let me write that down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the 12th. We have incredible artists on the bill with the band, with the JMT Experiment. Yourself will be performing.
Never heard of her.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Who else do we got? We got Steph Music. We have Taimani Gardner, incredible ukulele
Yeah.
and performing artist. Quadraphonics,
Yes.
the incredible jam
Sugar
band.
House.
We got my good friend Jerome James's
Okay.
little hippie circus drum extravaganza that he pulls every time. Am I missing anybody?
DJ.
Oh yeah, we have DJ Benny James from London, KTUH, soul, sonic, super funky DJ guy, be coming through and spinning all night too. So it's gonna be pretty crazy.
Can we find a link? Do you have a website or something that we can
No,
go
just
to?
now, we can check on Facebook, the
never heard of
JMT
Facebook.
Experiment. Yeah, they don't have a website yet. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty crazy. And that was part of the experiment to see how much energy we can draw and how much interest we can draw from a band that's never even played before. And that's the experiment. Now I'm experimenting with word of mouth, social media, through things like this. You know, we haven't played out live. People know each individual
Yeah.
musician as, oh, okay, that's Devon Williams. This is
Right.
Marianne Ito. Oh, he has Musa Bangora playing percussion, but they've never seen it as a whole unit. So that was my experiment to see, can I use social media? Can I use word of mouth? Can I use roots to
Bring something new to
to
the
make
scene.
something happen? Let me see if it works.
It's almost like having session players in a live setting, if I
It is.
understand it.
It kind of is.
Kinda.
It is.
Or a different, like XTC had also Dukes of Stratosphere, but they were kind of
Right,
essentially the same
right.
guys.
Like
with the-
Toto, and a lot
Yeah.
of those bands were all session guys. But half of the band has been my band, Organics, for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
So we've played around as that band. But you know, by adding Marianne Ito, which incredible vocalist, as well as Devon Williams, we have Tantra. She's an MC, incredible MC. We have the hip hop group Audible Lab Rats. We have 2 percussion players, John Porlis and Musa Bangora.
Oh my
so it's a
God.
huge
Musa.
band.
Ooh, yeah.
Everybody knows Musa. He's around
He
and
is.
he's
He's
played,
unforgettable.
Yeah, I've played with him for probably 10 years
Senegal?
as well. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Woo.
So actually, he's from Guinea, I think. So, you know, that's, everybody knows everybody as individuals, but to see this live band, you have to see it. It's gonna be pretty nuts. It's high intensity funk and soul. You know, that's not in the corner playing cover tunes. This is like in your face, loud, crazy
Don't
rock
forget,
and roll band.
You're
So-
not going to play Freebird?
Don't
I'm
forget
so
Dave.
disappointed.
Yeah, also Dave Yamasaki on guitar has been my right-hand man for a long time,
Yeah.
and Will Yokoyama playing bass as well, and Tupo Laufo playing keyboards and sax. So we have a big band.
How
Right.
big is your stage going to be?
We're going to take
Whatever
up the
it is,
entire
it's gonna be
stage.
packed. So
Tell
it's-
us again where the venue is.
we're doing it at the new Crossroads, which is in Hawaiian Bryans. They remodel everything, lights and
The
sound
place is
system.
picking up steam. There's been a
Yes,
lot
it
of
is.
events
It
there.
really is. People
Kapilani
get-
Avenue, for those of you who
Near
may not
24
know,
Fitness.
right next to
Yes.
24 Hour Fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be dropping some rock and roll on Honolulu.
So, some people don't like to talk about these things and look into the crystal ball, but I promise you, you're amongst friends here. We know what you're doing here locally. What are your plans? Will there be a launch? Will you have it online? Like, do you want to possibly take it on the road or get representation elsewhere or be on Conan O'Brien? I mean, what would be the biggest of the big?
Yeah, I mean, that Conan O'Brien stuff, I mean, it happens. You shouldn't, and I don't, but
Yeah.
you shouldn't aim for that. But this whole project started as an experiment.
Yeah.
So when you experiment, you don't know what's going to happen. Ideally, I'd like to take it to do, tours here and there in the mainland and, get some radio play on the mainland and things like that. But realistically, it's a band of 10 12 working musicians from Honolulu to get us to go, you know, to the mainland and do a month tour. Realistically, is going to be tough. It could happen, but this day and age, music is going strong through the internet. You know, you can record everything at home.
Yeah.
You can push everything from YouTube to iTunes to whatever. You know, you can make a CD, pass it to one person, they'll burn it next day. There's 10,000 of them around. So you don't really need that Conan. You don't need Clear Channel. You don't need Sony records. You don't need
You
that.
don't need pay to play. You could be an
Right.
agoraphobic musician and just
Yeah.
live
You
large
can.
in your castle.
I mean, you can do basement gigs all around mainland. You can literally burn one CD, boom, all of a sudden
What
it's
was it?
burned.
Daryl
So-
Hall's got his
Yeah.
web show, and people just like
Sure.
jam at his house.
Yeah, you know, a lot of mainland bands, punk bands to rock bands to folk groups are doing everything by themselves. They don't need,
The
you know,
middleman.
no Big Daddy anymore. So it's
bucking the
No
system
Sun
on all of
Records
that.
gonna rip you off.
no,
right?
no, you don't need that. They don't hold that at any kind of esteem at all like these days. They don't need it. People are doing everything by themselves, and you know,
I think
I'm gonna
we'll-
do as much as I can. So
We'll definitely take a stronger look at the outlets and where it'll be available once the CD party comes on release. There's a lot of pressure right now with the band and just getting everyone solidified to the level that Jason wants to portray and have that experience for everyone.
Well, if you allow me this moment to plan your life for you, you know, it sounds like it's just such an awesome thing that perhaps it would lend itself well to some type of festival. I mean, in the early part of the 90s, festivals were like, they
Huge.
were the thing.
They were
And
the
then we
thing.
also have the Crater Festival at
Yeah,
Diamond Head.
right.
And it's like, that's, I think, something that's
Well-
really missing today.
Sure.
And
that
it
was the goal. Well, that is the goal, to do those kind of street festivals, big festivals, what have you. First of all, this band would not fit in any corner of any club. You know,
Yeah.
we literally, logistically, we need room. So I don't think we can play at a bar with 12 of us. We'd blow the roof off, literally. So that's kind of, you know, I'm kind of been there, done that,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do that with this band. This is more of a arena or a showcase situation. So yeah, those festivals would be grand.
Good deal.
We've tried to get on there and no avail. You know,
Remember
we've
Kulaloa?
been knocking on the door, and we've always got denied access.
And
So
that's the thing is, I mean, this is not to be dismissing anything, but right now, the way Hawaii seems to be structured is you either have a really nice Tony hotel gig, which is the grail for a lot of
Sure.
musicians. You're a convention band, and you get to play Gloria Estefan songs or Cool in the Gang. Or you get to do festivals like Hullabaloo or Cinco de Mayo, and there's multiple stages, but everyone's rocking around with a red cup, and I don't know if they're necessarily giving the artists their due. That's the
Right.
thing that kind of bones me out, is like, here's Taimane Garner totally shredding on the ukulele, doing a phenomenal set, and people are just like getting drunk.
More of a
Yeah.
You know what I
celebration,
mean?
right?
So that's why I think the festival, sure, you're still going to have libations and people are drinking and, you know, schmoozing, but at least the focus, really, the intent on it, I think, returns it
Needs
back
to
to
be the
music.
musicians,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, and Hawaii's a perfect place. I mean, they have a festival for when the sun comes up. I mean, there's
Yes.
so many festivals every other month. There's something
We have great
out
weather
there to showcase.
for that
Yeah,
alone.
exactly.
I mean, hello.
Exactly. So it is that. So hopefully we'll get out there, and like I said, logistically we can't do clubs. There's no way.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to
Downplay the
Yeah, I wouldn't
performance
wanna-
by trying to fit it.
do anything below what we're capable of, just for the integrity of the band and the music. You know, representation of it is everything, you know. So to do a trio kind of thing or quartet kind of thing in the corner of a bar is not going to work for me. So,
Well, I hope Mr. King and Mr. Moffat and all of our Flash, all of you guys,
Keep an eye out.
keep an eye out when you guys are having your opening band.
please come through
you
December
know?
12th.
You gotta come and check these
Let
guys
go,
out.
all of you.
December
stick your heads
12th, it's at Hawaiian Brian's. The
Yes.
album's gonna drop. You can check out information on Facebook. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining
Hallelujah.
us this wonderful Aloha Friday. Keeping it real, keeping it genuine, and, you know, providing collaboration. That's something that's really
Yes,
magical
always,
and always
always.
encouraged. I think it's really essential to survival on so many
Yes,
levels.
absolutely.
So anything you want to share with our audience before we sign off?
No, just want to give a big thank you to you guys and ThinkTech and for the invitation, and to to talk story with you. Always good to see you,
Definitely.
and
Thank
looking
you so
forward to
much for your
hearing
time.
you
I know.
perform too.
Ow.
I can't
Come
wait to
check
see you
Willow
perform.
out.
Never heard of her.
These two are gonna rock the stage. So
We're gonna rock that house, rock it inside out. Well, hopefully you can come and join us next weekend, or I should say next week. We've got our show coming up, and then 2 weeks from now, live from Germany. So you don't want to miss that, friends. Thank you so much. We will see you. Hui ho.